Alright guys, this is Nathan with a daily analysis for January 17th. So it is relatively early. It's about 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm doing the analysis a little early because I'm actually heading out for the day until a little later, which I guess is one of the perks of being in the trading business. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to cover these daily bars kind of in midday, which will be a little bit interesting. Maybe if you guys are watching this later, you can check and see how accurate I was based on what we're talking about now. But anyway, I'm going to cover some of the major pairs like we always do. And in this analysis, maybe I'll zoom into the 4-hour because I'm closer to some 4-hour closes rather than the daily. And just give you kind of my expectations for the market and look toward what we might expect tomorrow. And hopefully it'll be helpful analysis despite being a little timely stranged. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. First we'll cover our news and then we'll jump back into the charts. Alright guys, for news tomorrow, one major event we have is that 4:30 a.m. pound retail sales announcement. And obviously any euro or pound pairs that you have on can definitely be affected, so you want to pay attention to that. If it's not in a time zone where you'll be awake, you want to set up your trade and make sure that you're protecting your risk and all of that. In anticipation for that announcement. And then later on we have prelim consumer sentiment for the US dollar, which is another red tagged. Other than that, news pretty light for tomorrow, so hopefully we won't be getting any radical effects from these announcements coming through. Alright guys, quickly I just want to cover our terms, which basically just say that we're not licensed or qualified to provide investment advice, and that anything you hear or see on the daily analysis is simply to give you our point of view on the market and not to be taken as investment advice. Alright guys, so I'll start off with my spiel about the USD CAD and how it's still doing nothing and still driving me to tears because of the lack of movement. Again, waiting for a strong convincing break and then perhaps we'll get some trade potential. But as of now, nothing going on, just a waiting game. Now the euro dollar made a little pullback here and is looking like it's going to continue to come back and test the trend line. And this is something important that I want to point out. If you guys remember a few days ago when this started turning at the top here, I said that I didn't want to short it even though it looked like it could definitely bounce all the way back down to here. And the reason I didn't want to short it is because of this very reason, because a lot of times in an upward channel, even though there is rejection, there's the possibility of trades moving down, it could come up and test this a million times before it does go down, and then eventually by the time it comes down to the bottom, it's at a much higher price in the original area where it started turning. You can see the difference here. And so that's one reason I don't like to short in these steeper channels. Now, if it's a much shallower channel, if the channel, for instance, looks more like this, and it's a shallower channel with a wider range, then I might look to take a short. But pretty tight, steep channel here. And so for that reason, short from the top of this level is not appealing to me, and that's exactly why, because you never know what it's going to do. Now, it might very well turn and go back from here, but regardless, I don't like the idea of a short when the potential is for it to continue rising, despite the fact that there's some rejection there. Okay, so that I just want to point that out. Obviously, you can see euro still gaining strength against the pound as the pound continues falling. Looks like we got close to a test of this level and a continuation. So this is shaping up to be a pretty nice short opportunity. Again, this is the one area that's really major that you'd want to look for in terms of targeting. But as there already is a little bit of overextension here, you guys know I'm not too big in believing in the overextended thing, but you might want to wait for a better price. Another thing is that the slope here of these lows is getting tested, so we could see a bounce any time before going lower. But regardless, the pound looks pretty intent on making some lower lows here. Now, I just showed you that the euro dollar is bouncing while the pound dollar is going down, which leads you to believe that the euro is a lot stronger than the pound, and you can see that here, still moving up and looking pretty healthy on this upward leg. Again, one thing to note is that since this channel started, we are making some pretty consistent higher highs. So we're at an area now where we could see some rejection and price heading lower. Once it gets down, like in this area, closer to 82, obviously buys will become very appealing to head back up and continue making higher highs. But for right now, euro pound still on a surge, and until it gets down to more reasonable prices, I won't be ready to take it long. But I sure do like the euro strength. US yen looking like a massive continuation bar today. Hopefully, if any of you talked about that US yen long that that we were mentioning before. I got out and actually got in the odd yen. But any of you hung on or waited a little bit for a better price and were a little more patient than I was should be sitting in a very nice situation. I know that one gentleman commented when I first said the US yen long and said he was waiting for a little deeper pullback. So hopefully he got in and is up big right now. But definitely moving toward higher highs. Again, we are right at the top or near the top, so this is one of the situations where it could all of a sudden turn into a channel or something, which would be unfortunate. But as of right now, looking like a lot of bullish momentum for the U.S. I'll quickly show you the odd as well. So the odd is the one that I'm in, looking pretty nice as these tails came right down through this area and bounced. I got in again pretty close to the bottom of this tail, and my stop loss is all the way down here, pretty safe stop loss. And so I'm up about 170 pips, and which is close to a 1-to-1 for me, not even quite a 1-to-1. Now I am targeting around 650 pips on this trade, so I'm gonna be willing to be very patient on this one. Let it climb, let it pull back, let it retest, and hopefully really move up. And so I'm pretty confident in the trade, but again, it's going to take a lot of time for it to develop if I'm going to hit my ultimate target. But obviously, the steepness of this move is very encouraging to me, and you can see that we're expecting continuation based on the retest and nice bar that we have today. Alright guys, and I'll finish up with the odd. The odd is another pair like the USD CAD that I've been frustrated with because it's not giving me a lot of potential trade options. Now it is moving up pretty consistently. Now you can see that from this bottom, struggled here but broke through and is still moving up. One issue is that we're still not really beating this 106 area. But one thing to look out for, guys, it is moving up. It's a little bit of a tail bar today. If we do get a break and any kind of momentum in the market, this could be a good platform for price to go higher. One of the big levels is all the way up here at 108. So that's a pretty good opportunity if we do see some momentum and a break of the 106 level with any kind of authority. So keep an eye on the odd. Don't give up on it, even though it's a little frustrating right now. I think we could have some good trade potential there. Alright guys, well that's about it for the daily analysis. I guess it's a little shorter today, but I hope it was helpful for you, and I really do look forward to getting your comments and your feedback, and I'll talk to you guys later.